Mirrors, where reality meets reflection. But what if the glass doesn't just show you what's there, but also what's not?
They say mirrors are windows to the other worlds, or gateways to the supernatural. Some claim they reflect more than just our faces. Sometimes they reflect our fears, our past, or even our souls. Oh.
Or even our souls.
Fuck it, you just continue. Just go with it.
Okay. Tonight, we step through the looking glass into the eerie realm of haunted mirrors, where the line between this world and the next is anything but clear. Oh dear.
This is the Story Seekers, where every reflection tells a story, and some are better left unseen.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Shanae. Look closely, and whatever you do, don't blink.
Don't blink.
Don't blink.
Don't laugh.
We're doing a double party tonight. We're about 2 glasses in, so this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah. Try not to slur. So yeah, this was kind of a random one, wasn't it? I wanted to look into haunted artifacts, and I think maybe it was the first.
Laura Googled it.
Yeah, first or second artifact that came up. You've got your typical dolls. And then I saw mirrors. And obviously you're going to look into that, or you're going to talk about that.
It was very
mirror
interesting
in particular.
looking into the history, because it's not just a mirror, it's mirrors in general are very spooky.
Yeah, they are.
Across all cultures, history, very, very interesting, very spooky. So I'm excited to get into it, but I'm very excited to hear your story.
Okay. Yeah, I hope it's good.
We didn't do an introduction. How are you, Laura?
I'm good.
I know I just asked you, but
no, I'm good.
How are you?
How are you? I feel like I never ask you.
Thank you for asking. I'm good. I'm on my period. So are you. We've synced.
Synced. Cycle sisters.
Besties. We both, can I come out and say I don't think either of us were really in the mood for tonight?
Yeah, I feel like that's fair. But then as soon as you get into it, it's what you needed.
The moment we see each other, we're like, oh, right, I like you. There are only a few people in my life that I like.
Dark.
No, you know those people where you can they can walk into the room.
It doesn't feel forced. You're like,
exactly.
Okay, it's fine.
She's like, oh, hey, what's up? My friend's here. Yeah,
I agree. Sometimes it feels like forced fun and hosting too much, but I don't feel like that.
Because I'm a good host.
You're a fantastic hostess.
But I'm exhausted afterwards, just drained of all my energy. Yeah.
I feel like as well when you've been teaching all day.
Oh, yes. Because people forget that when you're a teacher, so the whole controversy is if we meet people that aren't ESL teachers, they don't really get it because we mostly only work in the evenings.
Yeah.
Some of us do some work at schools during the day. I personally work at a kindergarten as well. You might only teach for like 2 to 3 hours, but you are on.
Yeah.
Like you are.
It's not until
your most energetic self.
Yeah.
Constantly.
And like you were saying before, like it's when you're ill or like you have your period or you're hungover or whatever, like it's not until you stop.
You can't be down.
No.
You can't be, because this is...
You don't notice.
This is extra classes for them.
Yeah.
These kids have already studied their entire day.
Yeah, poor little
They're
guys.
coming to your class in the evening. They don't care if you've had a bad day.
No. They need fun.
They're tired. They need fun. They need not just entertainment, educational entertainment.
Yeah.
They're still learning. So they need to, it's very, very active.
And it's not until you literally stop, you're like, how did I get through that?
How did I do that? Yeah. I've literally had cramps in my cheeks.
Oh no.
From smiling too much, like a forced smile.
Yeah.
And then you get, because parents are also there once you leave. Until you get on your bike and you're leaving that school, there's a constant smile on your face.
Yeah.
And then you leave and you relax your face and you think, wow. Exactly.
Honestly, I really dread that thought if a parent sees me get on the bike.
And they see the smile drop.
I just like my whole face just goes, oh. And I'm not like a miserable person.
No, of course not.
But my face definitely changes.
Yeah.
I can feel it. I'm like, oh.
Definitely.
Oh.
I'm always scared.
My wrinkles.
I'm always scared if they see me outside of school and then just think, wow.
She's moody.
She looks mean.
But we're not. We're not.
We're not. We're good teachers.
I wanted to ask you a question before we get into this.
Go for it.
Have you, doesn't even need to be a supernatural story, but have you ever, like, have you startled yourself in a mirror? Or do you have any, like, stories about a mirror?
I have two little facts, personal facts that I've included in the history section.
Okay.
That I'll tell you about later. But yes, I've definitely, some personal, some not personal. But I have most definitely startled myself in a mirror.
Yeah.
Not in my own house. You know, if you know the layout.
Yeah.
Maybe I've startled myself in like a reflection of a window. But definitely I have.
And it's really interesting that they always feature in horror movies. Like, this is controversial, but honestly, one of my favorite ever movies is super old. What Lies Beneath? Have you ever watched it? I can't tell if you're... Shanae's pulling a face like, this looks like, oh my God, that movie.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds familiar, but I...
Basically, a movie with... Is it Michelle Pfeiffer? Anyway.
What I feel like my mother's listening to this and she's going, I watched that.
I watched it because of my parents. Like, it's basically a movie. I won't spoil it, but this lady thinks she's experiencing supernatural things, and then her husband is assuring her she's going through a breakdown. And it's very much they're in a honeymoon phase, and there's like a really...
You see gaslighting her.
There's a big twist, and she uncovers something. But a lot of the paranormal events are featured like messages in the mirror.
I don't think I know.
It's dated, like in terms of like the special effects.
Right.
But the story itself is really good. It's a good movie.
The name sounds very familiar, but I don't recall.
Yeah.
Maybe I haven't watched it. But...
And that made me just, like as a kid, it's well done for its time. Now, not so much, but like mirrors feature so heavily in that she sees a lot in the mirrors. And
I think older movies with less special effects and they had to do everything physically, I think they're much better.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Movies like that, I think there should be a remake, but it would spoil it.
It would, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, a very good movie. And I just, it's I'm excited to get into it today, to kind of go into the history of mirrors and why they're always so apparent.
You're going to be very surprised.
Okay.
With a lot of it. It's so broad, so vast. I think you're going to enjoy it.
Okay.
But please tell us your story.
Okay. The mirror was buried under the floorboards of the old plantation house, sealed in heavy chains, smeared with ash, salt, and something darker than that had soaked into the wood of the frame. The workers broke through by accident. No prayers, laughing, smoking, hammering, and crowbars. They all laughed when they pulled it out, thinking they'd unearthed some valuable antique from the slave trade. They propped it up against the bare wall, put a few pictures on Pinterest, some on Etsy, but none of them actually remembered unwrapping it. None of them remembered looking into it for the first time. But when they blinked, they realized they'd all stopped working, and they were standing shoulder to shoulder, staring into the glass. Hours had passed, and they were unaware where the time had gone. From that moment, the once supreme house began to rot. Walls peeled back like scabby skin, as if exposing its dark history. The pipes coughed up thick black water. The light turned wrong, not dimmer, just sick, as if it strained to escape the building. All the operations ceased, and the plans of turning the house into a quaint Airbnb rental went stale. No matter how often the workers cleaned, streaks would crawl back across the walls, handprints smeared too high, too low, sometimes dragging down the hallways. Faces appeared in the dry walls, and in the corners of the rooms, they just disappeared into the darkness. Even outside the house, the sleepy Spanish moss started to die, and the grass was singed and dry as if caught by fire. At night, the mirror moved. No one saw it happen, but the uncles who set up shop heard it. A low grinding sound, like a great body dragging itself closer across the floor. The floorboards buckled under the weight, the nails curled free from the walls. Sometimes something breathed against their ears as the men tried to sleep, whispering things that didn't make sense. One by one, the workers gave in. The foreman was the first. They found him at dawn, kneeling before the mirror. His eyes were gone. Not torn out, but he'd removed them, and they were resting in his palms as if offering them back to the thing behind the glass. Then Bobby. They found him carving a new doorway into the wall, grinning with his torn fingernails, and he murmured, "Closer, closer, closer." When they tried to pull him away, his body just cracked open. Not bleeding, but it was tight with fine grey dust. The others fled. It didn't matter. What happened to the men after was worse than death. Those who fled the site tried to forget, but the mirror gnawed at them from the inside out. They grew hollow in strange ways. Some of them forgot simple words, losing entire hours at a time, waking up in rooms they didn't remember entering. Some of them turned on their families.
No.
Sometimes a man would reach for a door and his arm would keep stretching, fingers smearing like smoke before snapping back with a wet popping sound. And sometimes their reflections would wander away without them, in their own mirrors of their own houses, far away from the plantation house. A few managed to last months, but most didn't. One took his life in a motel room after carving strange symbols in the walls, symbols nobody could recognize. Another simply just walked into the ocean and kept walking, but his body was never found. But local fishermen swear something still wades beneath the surf. The ones who tried to warn others found that their words just fell on deaf ears. They would open their lips to speak, only to choke. Their friends and families didn't recognize them anymore. They were wrong in the way that a photo is wrong when it smiles just a second too late. And at night, most of them had the same dream. The old plantation house, alive again, and the mirror waiting at the top of the stairs. And a hand, maybe their own, reaching towards the glass, trembling but eager. And they never woke up from that dream. The mirror had seeped into the foundation and had wormed its way into their blood. It followed them home in dark smudges at the edges of their vision and the dreams they couldn't wake from. Their homes were colder. Their reflections began to linger when they turned away, and they smiled wider each night. The plantation house collapsed weeks later, as if something inside had finished feeding and discarded the shell. The once strong bricks and mortar were nothing more than a pile of expensive rubble. Rescue crews found only wreckage, walls folded like paper, floors ripped open. And in the center of the rubble, untouched, the mirror stood upright, its glass clear and polished, reflecting not the ruins, but the version of the house which was still alive. The reflection didn't stop at the frame. It spilled out onto the floor, a shadow, a pulse, something sticky and wet that smelled of blood and salt water. The last few of the crew looked into the mirror, and some couldn't look away from the faces pressed against the glass. Old faces, new faces, some faces they didn't know. Their feet rooted to the ground. Their skin began to blister, their bodies warped to fit into the frame. The last thing they heard was not a voice, but a slow, deep sound rising from the glass like a tide. The mirror still stands there today, half buried under the ash and broken wood. It doesn't need to be found again. It's already inside anyone who's looked too long, and it's waiting for you to look back. And maybe you will.
That was probably your darkest story you've done.
I wanted to do like a bit, kind of like a
very
mix between like reality. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't know whether it's them going crazy or... And I kind of wanted to leave it in the house, and I'm excited to hear about the house a little bit anyway.
Wow. First, I'm going to tell you about the history of mirrors. So, just a quick note before I start. The stories we're sharing today is a blend of historical facts and folklore and legend. While we've done our best to present accurate information, some of the details, especially those surrounding the Myrtles Plantation, come from local myths and unverified accounts. We encourage you to explore further if you're curious, and to keep in mind that not everything has been confirmed through historical records. So, without further ado, let's get into the Myrtles Plantation. Many cultures around the world have superstitions and beliefs surrounding mirrors. I'm sure that you've heard the old myth that if you break a mirror, you'll have 7 years of bad luck. Or the Bloody Mary game that many of us played when we were teenagers to scare each other in the dark. Well, this is just a few of the many different legends involving mirrors. It is It is believed that mirrors are portals to another world and the afterlife, and can reflect our very souls. This is also why vampires were said to not have a reflection, because they had no souls to reflect. Mirrors can also be a symbol of vanity. In Greek mythology, Narcissus was a beautiful man who was so obsessed with himself that he fell in love with his own reflection in a pool of water. He was so self-absorbed that he would eventually die of starvation and dehydration. From his body came flowers that were named after him, as well as the term narcissist, that describes someone that is extremely self-centered and shows a lack of empathy to others. Catoptromancy, also known as captromancy or eneptromancy. I don't know if I'm saying those correctly. These words come from the ancient Greek words katoptron, meaning mirror, and mentia, meaning divination. It refers to the practice of using a mirror for the purpose of scrying and seeking messages from beyond. In this practice, a person gazes into a mirror or sometimes another reflective surface like a crystal ball or a black glass, like your phone screen, in hopes of glimpsing visions, receiving answers, or communicating with the spirit world. Throughout history, this form of divination has been a tool for uncovering hidden knowledge, peering into the future, or even connecting with the deceased. So it's a common practice within witchcraft, within many different cultures, but witchcraft as well, using mirrors to scry and look into the future. There's also a delusion called mirrored self-misidentification, which, and I quote from Wikipedia, is the delusional belief that one's reflection in the mirror is another person, typically a younger or second version of oneself, a stranger, or a relative. This delusion occurs most frequently in patients with dementia.
Oh, cool.
Very interesting. An old wedding tradition says that if a newlywed couple stares into a mirror together, their souls will be connected forevermore.
Oh, that's nice.
That's the last nice one.
Oh.
If you sleep with a mirror facing your bed, it is said that the spirits traveling through it will siphon your energy or even steal your soul. In ancient China, it was believed that evil spirits and negative energies were terrified of their own reflections. To protect their homes, people would hang mirrors, or most likely polished metals, opposite the front door or fireplace to ward off these dark forces. Interestingly, in the opposite, in feng shui, placing a mirror directly across from the front door is considered bad luck, as it is thought to bounce positive energy and fortune right back out of the home. So, I have a story.
Okay.
So I had a friend, a girl that I knew in school back in my hometown when I was younger, and basically they were having a bit of a home situation. Little bit of a difficult time at home. Her parents were fighting a lot. Her dad was drinking a lot. It was in a good situation. And being from a very Christian town and then being part of the church, a lot of people wouldn't go see a professional. They would go to the church. And they did. They went to the church, and at that time, the pastor went to their home, and this is what she had told me. He'd gone to their home and noticed that they had a big, like, full body mirror in front of their front door.
Okay.
And across from their house was an open field. So this pastor claimed that he suspected that Satanists or people dabbling within the dark arts had seen the mirror in the threshold and put a curse on them.
Oh, okay.
Which, when I was a kid, I was very skeptical, but she fully believed it. She was very much convinced that this was the thing. So they prayed over the mirror. They had them move the mirror from the threshold, like from within the front door. And apparently things got better after that. I think they probably got help that they needed and started working on their issues. But it was very interesting researching this.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
That. Yeah, I don't believe if it was really satanic. That's a very satanic panic thing.
So something to blame your problems on, isn't it? Like you go, oh, it must be the mirror. And now everything seems so much better. Now the mirror's
everything's
moved.
Fine, yeah. I mean, fair enough. Hey.
Yeah, if it helped them, then fair.
Maybe it was reflecting the good luck away.
Yeah.
And when they moved it, good luck started coming in. I don't know. I don't know.
Their feng shui a little bit.
Maybe the dad just stopped drinking booze every day. I don't know. So, mirrors are also said to cause liminal space, meaning that there's a place of transition or a place between destinations, like a hallway, if you can imagine it. And that these spaces are entryways for spirits and demons to enter into the physical realm. Another big no-no is placing two mirrors across from each other, which apparently causes a portal that opens a door to other dimensions. Growing up, did you ever have any myths or legends regarding mirrors that you can recall?
Apart from like the typical ones that like you mentioned at the start, like the bad luck and the Bloody Mary, not really. I think I've mentioned, I'm not going to get this story completely correct, but basically when my mum was a student nurse, I was very young when she told this story years later. They had an old man pass away in the hospital, and basically he had what I can guess now was a form of cancer where he'd had like part of his jaw removed.
Okay.
I don't know whether it was like structural or just like the skin.
Okay.
But like all of the student nurses, they grew very attached to him. Really nice old man. And basically my mum told me the story. They had a mirror, and reflecting into the mirror, it's like a day room in the hospital where families go and just spend the day, so they're not sat in the bed. Reflecting into the mirror, there was like a landscape picture on the other side of the room of like mountains and lightning.
I understand, yeah, I can picture it.
My mum and her friends she told me like a few years later that she'd sat down and 4 other student nurses had seen his reflection after he passed away. And it was like his side profile. And it could be like an optical illusion, but she said 4 other girls, it could be sleep deprivation, working nights, but she was so adamant about this story growing up. She used to tell me and my friend that they'd seen him. And it was like his side profile. I mean, of course. And it was enough to like make all of the girls in that ward, like all the student nurses were like crying because they like couldn't believe.
So that multiple people saw it.
Yeah.
If it was only your mom, maybe you could go like, oh, you were deprived, but multiple people at the same time.
Yeah. Huh. They were all sat around and they could all see it.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, we've always had like a bit of a supernatural thing about mirrors or reflections in general. Like my mum's seen another thing, or maybe I'll talk about another time, but it was in glass. It wasn't a mirror.
Same thing.
Yeah.
So same thing according to the legends. Really anything reflective. It does not matter. It could be, I mean, look at Narcissus.
The water.
Narcissus. The water, the reflection of himself in water. It's definitely any kind of reflection.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know whether it's that good.
Oh, we can take it out.
I could take it out.
Yeah.
So basically, my house back in the UK years ago now, when conservatories were a big thing. This was like, honestly, like 22, 23 years ago. We had our back garden cleared out and we had a conservatory built, and our garden is tiny. And basically there was a gap where the fence was and the glass window was built like up to the fence. You couldn't get down it. And the builder had apparently said to my mum, we're going to leave this for a couple of days until we come back. It was a holiday, whatever. Don't let any of the kids out here because some of the glass isn't fully stable. They can't get down the side, but just be aware. Don't let any of the kids out because it is a little bit dangerous. My mum was like, no problem. It's locked off. And we have doors inside and then the conservatory. So she locked the doors. And at the time I was in school, I think I was 7 or 8. So was my brother. And my youngest brother was at home. And apparently not a builder, I don't know what his specific title was, but he came back and he said, he's a family friend. He said to my mum, why I told you not to let any of the kids outside. And my mum was like, I haven't. And he was like, come here. And he took my mum out to the conservatory, and on where the doors were, so you have to go like out of the doors of the conservatory and go right down the side to a gap like this. There was tiny handprints all over the window. And my mum was like, none of them have been out there, which we hadn't.
Oh,
and then
that's terrifying.
Again, another really big story. My family looked into like the history of the house because we'd also had supernatural things happening. My uncle lived above the corner shop at the back of my house.
Yeah.
And they looked into it, and apparently it used to be an old toll road. And this lady had died, and like all of this crazy stuff I'll go into another time. But basically, there was like tiny handprints, and then my family. That
is going to be so relevant later.
Ooh,
the tiny handprints. Very interesting, though.
And this guy was like, a burly man. He was like, "Why have you done that?
Why have you done that? Like I told you."
Yeah.
But none of you were home.
No, and it was like the gap is tiny. Huh. Nobody could get through.
Interesting. Very interesting. I always remember my mother telling me about, and I feel like I might be wrong, but this is an African thing, because I was looking on TikTok of stories about mirrors, and a lot of African Americans, like a much older African Americans, had the same kind of myth, or I don't know how you would say, habit.
Okay.
Let's call it
like
a
a
habit.
ritual almost.
Yes. And for those of you that don't know, I'm from South Africa. So my mother always says that if they had bad weather, aka a thunderstorm, and the area we're in South Africa has really, really bad thunderstorms, like electric storms, very intense thunder and lightning. If there was a storm going on, the entire family, and keep in mind, I think my mother was a household of 6 children, 6 or plus. Can't quite remember. A lot of siblings, a lot of kids. They would all be forced by my grandmother to go and sit in a room, close the curtains, cover the mirrors, and sit in absolute silence. You could not read. You could not embroider. You could not knit. You couldn't even take a nap. You had to sit there.
God, that's quite intense.
Until the storm passed. And apparently that is a thing of covering mirrors when there's a bad storm.
Is there a reason?
Something to do with the reflection of the lightning. I'm guessing it's like an attraction thing.
Okay.
Like it's going to attract it and hit your house or hit that specific spot.
Okay. There's probably some maybe science behind that as well.
I doubt it. Very much doubt it. Maybe if you go further back to when mirrors were silverback.
Yeah, like
it
conduct
was
electricity.
Yeah, maybe a bit more of a conductor than just glass.
Yeah.
So it might go back to that, but yeah, that was the story I grew up hearing. My mother was not as bad. My mother, who is definitely listening to this one, she would just always have everything plugged out. Once that first thunder strike hits, everything's plugged out. Peter even jokes with me when the thunder starts going here, because we don't have as bad storms here, but when it goes here and I go, oh, let's plug it out. He goes, all right. Shanae's mom. One myth that appears across many cultures is the tradition of covering all mirrors in a home with thick black cloth after someone has passed away. It was also common to open a window after death to let the soul find its way out. People believed that mirrors could confuse the spirits of the deceased, preventing it from moving on, or worse, trap the spirit within the glass. After President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in 1865, it is said that all the mirrors in the White House were covered in black cloth as part of the mourning traditions of the time, reflecting the deep-rooted fear of spirits becoming trapped between worlds. Mirrors have long been seen as powerful, often mystical objects, and their associations with death, spirits, and the afterlife aren't just limited to legends and myths. In fact, these beliefs have been so strong that they've even influenced the practices and rituals surrounding death. One such place where this connection between mirrors and spirits is said to linger is the Myrtles Plantation in Louisiana. The Myrtles Plantation, located just outside of St. Francisville, Louisiana, was built in 1796 and operated as a plantation worked by enslaved people. The house is often called one of the most haunted locations in the United States, with a long and chilling history of death and tragedy tied to it. We might dive into the full story of the Myrtles' dark past in another episode, but today I'm not going to be focusing on the house itself. Today I'm going to be telling you about the haunted object that still lingers within the Myrtles' walls. The Myrtles Plantation was once owned by the well-respected Judge Clark Woodruff and his wife, Sarah Matilda.
That's a nice name.
It is a nice name, Matilda. Very old school. Together they lived in the grand house with their 2 young daughters and another child on the way. Judge Woodruff, though admired publicly, was known to be a hard and often cruel man, especially towards the enslaved people he owned. Chloe was one of the house servants, tasked with caring for the children. It's said that Woodruff forced himself on Chloe multiple times, and fearing the brutal life of the fields, she resisted. Chloe had no choice but to comply. Over time, Woodruff grew bored of her, and terrified that she would be cast out to the fields anyway, Chloe began eavesdropping on the family's private conversations, desperate to know her fate. One day, she was caught. As punishment, Woodruff ordered that one of her ears be cut off. The brutal act meant to shame and control her. Afterward, Chloe always wore a green head wrap to hide the mutilation. Fearing she would soon become irrelevant and discarded, Chloe hatched a desperate plan. She gathered leaves from a poisonous plant and added them to a birthday cake intended for Sarah and the girls. Her goal wasn't to kill, only to make them ill. In those days, having someone in the household who could heal was a valuable asset, and Chloe hoped to nurse them back to health, securing her place once again.
Quite a clever plan, really. Having a healer there, yeah.
But Chloe had misjudged the potency of the poison. Instead of falling mildly ill, Sarah and her 2 daughters grew gravely sick, and by the end of the day, all 3 were dead. Panicked and furious, the other slaves, fearing Woodruff's vengeance, dragged Chloe from her room, hung her from a nearby tree, and later weighed her body down with rocks before throwing her into the water near the house. After the deaths, in keeping with Southern mourning traditions, the slaves covered every mirror in the house with thick black cloth, believing that an uncovered mirror could trap a restless soul. But they missed one mirror. One mirror remained exposed. Since then, guests and staff at the Myrtles Plantation have reported eerie phenomena surrounding the mirror. Handprints seem to appear on the glass, even when no one is near. At times, the mirror fogs from within, and no amount of wiping can clear it. Some visitors have claimed to see shadowy figures standing behind them, their reflections distorted and wrong. And sometimes, visitors also report glimpsing the ghostly figure of a woman quietly drifting through the house, her head wrapped in green cloth. A silent, sorrowful reminder of Chloe's tragic story. As with many famous hauntings, the Myrtles Plantation has become a place where fact and fiction blur. The story of Chloe and the tragic poisoning is a perfect example of how myths can grow over time, often amplifying details to make haunting even more chilling. While the facts tell a different, less dramatic story, the legend persists, which is often the case with places that have such rich histories, very similar to the woman in white at Ordsall Hall in the story that Laura told us back in episode 1. We know that legends like this one tend to grow bigger and more dramatic over time. But when you really dig into the history, though, things start to look a little bit different. Myrtle Plantation was definitely owned by the Woodruff family, but there's no historical record of them ever owning a slave named Chloe. They owned slaves, but not a slave named Chloe, or Cleo, as she might be known.
Do you think that could have, I was going to say, do you think that would, because a lot of the slaves were given English names, weren't they?
It might be. But as for Sarah, she did meet a tragic end, but not at the hands of a desperate servant. She passed away from yellow fever in 1823, and her 2 children, James and Cornelia, also succumbed to the same disease the following year. While the legend talks about poisoning and revenge, historical medical records point to yellow fever as the true cause of their death.
That's really sad for Chloe's history as well.
So there is speculation about Chloe. So and I read this in a few sources. So the house itself is very much haunted. It has an extremely rich history. Many different families have lived and died in that house, with some specifically tragic things happening in the house. And because of the hauntings there, some people started making up stories over the years. And
added to the history,
might have been one. So no one knows, no one is quite sure if Chloe really existed. But as you say, no one really tells the stories of the slaves that died there. It's mostly, if you do if you research these places, a lot of the time the white families that own these places are the main focus, and rarely do you have specific slave names that come to life. But through chilling ghost stories surrounding the Myrtles Plantation has been shaped by time and folklore, the historical facts tell a different, more tragic tale. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, the powerful connection between the past and the present, between history and myth, is undeniable. And so the question remains, do the spirits of the Myrtles linger on in the mirror? Or is it just a reflection of the haunting stories that we've told about the past? The mirror is still on display in the Myrtles Plantation house, and you can even book a room there or go on a tour of the house. Quite a recurring thing, right?
Yeah.
How these places are
always have the tours, always you can book to stay there.
I definitely, in the future, and I said this to Laura earlier, I definitely love to go into the history of the house itself. Just because it's such a haunted house.
Yeah.
But for this video, we just wanted to focus on the mirrors.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, all the rooms, every room is named after a previous family that's lived there.
Okay.
So it's a very much, I think the tours, I'm not quite sure, but I think the tours are less paranormal tours and more
The historical side of it, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be an amazing place to go.
Beautiful house. Incredibly. Yeah. Very, very much a manor.
Mm.
Very beautiful.
Very like typical architecture
of
that time, plantation style.
Voila. What did you think of the history of
No,
Paris?
I thought it was...
Were you surprised?
Yeah, I was. I think it's like, whether it's true or not, and you know, like you spoke about the yellow fever theory at the end, I think it's a really, I don't know, I think it's a nice kind of story about, not a nice story, but like it's a really interesting story about revenge.
The history of mirrors in general and the myths and the legends behind mirrors, or the beliefs behind mirrors, very interesting.
Really interesting. And again, it like applies to so many places around the world. Everybody's going to have their own superstitions.
Everybody has a thing about mirrors. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Ancient rituals to modern day hauntings. Mirrors have been portals for the restless spirits, reflecting things we're not meant to see.
Is it just superstition? Or is there something in that glass that watches us back?
Thank you for joining us tonight on The Story Seekers. If you've seen something in the reflection that you can't quite explain, share it with us in the comments and leave us a like and follow along.
Until next time, whatever you do, never look into a mirror alone in the dark. Some reflections never fade.
I couldn't help it.